Hi everybody, Carol here. Today I have a card that I'm calling a 3-in-1 card, and it's built on a what we kind of call a fancy fold card. In this case it's a sidestep card, and I hope you enjoy. I'm going to start off with the stamping and the coloring, and I speed it up quite a bit so that you don't get too bored with all of it. And so anyway, it gets kind of repetitious, so I'll try to speed right through it. And these are actually just samples of what the final product is going to be, because sometimes if I make mistakes and I start all over again. But this card is built on the theme of different kinds of trees, Christmas trees. So you will see that as we go along. So I'm stamping these cards up with green and brown stems, and then we'll have a little bit of decoration on them. So here we go with this one. And another thing I do is I'm coloring with different medium, whether it be ink pads or colored pencils or whatever. So now here is another little border stamp of poinsettias, and I'm just lining it up. I'm starting it with in the middle, so that will be in order and symmetrical. And even though I'm stamping it in red, then I'm going to go back in and color these teeny tiny leaves, petals, excuse me. And this is with some alcohol ink pens. But anyway, then I'm going back over here and coloring in the balls on these trees, and I'll just cut this right down the side. So I need some skinny strips of these. And then take another yellow marker and do the stars on these trees, and go back and do the centers of the poinsettias. And you can see that there are some marks on the paper there above the poinsettias, but I'll show you how I fix that in a little while. Now I'm going back and very quickly coloring through these trees, not covering up where the balls are. And I'll add some different colors in a minute and try to blend. And it is fun to do it. Here's another shade of green. Quite a bit different. So I'll try to go back and kind of hit a medium point to blend those colors together. And then the stem there, I had done green with the overall stamp. So I'll go back with some red in just a minute when I do the balls, and put some red on top of that green. So red and green are supposed to make brown, so I thought we'll give that a try, and it worked pretty well. So and I could always go back and put brown on top of that, of course. And you could carry this as far as you wanted to and really do an extensive coloring job and put some white highlights, and I did not do that. Got a lot going on this card, and I will go back and cut those out later, the one that I choose to use. And just an example of how you could color that skinny tree. So now how I covered up those messes, I just decided to give this a scalloped edge and cut that off. And it'll work just fine. Go back and finish coloring, of course. Now I also have a little reindeer. Very simple and very cute little thing. And I thought, well, I'll try some brown ink, but I'm going to do it on different colored cardstock. For example, the white, and then a medium brown, which would fill in the background color, the whole body of the deer. And then a dark brown, which you can see the ink does not show up very well on that, but I could have used black. Now here I'm just taking a marker and going over the lines with that, and I'm going to see how that works. I experiment as I go. So as I stamped that down, it did a pretty good job. There was a little bit of smearing, I guess you could call it. So I'm going to switch to colored pencils now, for this one anyway, and again, I really need to speed this up. It gets rather tedious, but just trying to do a little bit of shading could do a better job. I'm just doing a quickie job here, and then put his little pink cheeks, and then I went back and added a little pink to the brown just to kind of make them tie together. Didn't even finish that one off, but then I'm seeing how this works on the brown paper and with the pink cheek. The pink cheeks really kind of pop on this brown paper, and this one has to have quite a bit of dark to show any difference at all, and then that pink really pops on that too. So anyway, just to show, and then I go back and take a pen and put a darker eye on all of them. That's a millennium. And going then on that bottom one, I decided to use an alcohol marker just to see if that would kind of blend in those smears a little bit. So there you are. You could choose which one you like better. Now we're going to make the actual sidestep card. Very common, been around a long time, but I'm just showing I made a kind of a pattern out of typing paper, but it's flimsy, but I went ahead and marked the measurements on this particular card. I've made them all different sizes. This is just one thing. You could do 4 inches to the top fold, from the top edge to the fold, and then 5 inches on the left hand side. Then at the bottom you fold up a mountain and a valley fold 1 inch apiece. And then in cardstock, this is what it looks like. Now I do something unusual. I'm just showing you the measurement here, 4 inches there, 5 inches, and then 4 on this one by the time it gets folded up. But I cut my 2-inch strip there on the left all the way through. Most people don't. I've never seen anybody do that before, but it makes it easier to work on the right hand side. And I'm showing you that's 1 inch and then 2 inch, 1 inch for each fold. But as far as cutting it apart, you can always go back and tape it together, and it just makes it easier to decorate. And again, just showing you the measurements there. And I'm going to show you how it makes it easier, as I said, in my opinion, to cut it all the way through, and then you can always go back later and tape that closed if you need to. And a lot of times you put paper across it and it holds it together anyway, patterned paper. So I'm just showing that this one is a little taller than the other, and that how the fact that falls apart so it splays out really. I wanted to show you what I do to keep that from happening. If you've ever had a card like that, you know after a while it just starts getting closer and closer and closer to the surface. So I take a piece of string or yarn, tape it down on both sides, and then, but not totally all the way down, enough where you can slide. And if you'll watch, you'll see that I can pull the string through that. If I want it to be a little wider, I can do that. If I want it to be tighter, I'll show you here how I am pulling it down to make it closer together. And whenever you're satisfied with where it is, then mesh the tape down all the way, go back later and cut that string off. So now here we go. I'm going to put some pattern paper down. This is the 2-inch strip. I don't think I told you how wide that was. And the other one is 4 inch, or is that 5? I can't see that from here. But anyway, so then I'm putting the pattern paper down. And then going to put the green tree that I colored and cut out, and put some Tombow Mono Multi on it. Now I'm just barely touching this down. It is repositionable tape, positionable. And then the other strip that I made, I had done another one also that has more poinsettias on it. So I put that on there, go back and cut off the overhang. I tried to center it, and I will do that on the other side as well, and cut that off. Now I'm not gluing that down together right now. I'm going to leave it like that, but I certainly could. Now this is a little tag I made, but I glued it, and I'm showing you how that has been cut out and glued down in front of a little Christmas tree. You can see those Christmas trees there, how I experimented with them, and the little red snowflakes. And this is what the different colored deer would look like in there, just for fun. But when I glue that little tag on, I left some extra space down there, as you can see, because it makes it fit into that little tray and not just part of the card be hidden. So this is the other card, and with like the one that I stamped before. I'm just showing how I went back and shaded a little bit by each tree, even put a little present there and a sentiment. So that's basically what I did. Extremely simple. And some of you may have seen this card before. I have made it before, but it was kind of my inspiration actually for this card, for the different trees. And so there you go, I'm fitting those in there. And that's the beauty of doing something like this. The cards that we make, and that we don't mail out. And by the way, this was too long, and in my opinion, it set it up too high. So I wanted to take a little bit off the bottom so it would sit down a little lower. You can't tell it too much from that angle, but sit down a little lower in the tray. And then with the beauty of the repositionable glue, I decided I wanted that tree to be a little higher so I could pull it up and put it back down. But anyway, it is a good way to use your cards that you've already made, and you can draw inspiration from it. And so I enjoyed putting those together. They just kind of came together. So, but this is what it looks like. I'm going to turn it all the way around, get you the whole view. As I turn it here, I'm showing that gives you room to write to the recipient if you want to, or write the date of when you made the card or whatever. And again, there it shows it separated. I could have glued those pieces together. It would have been no big deal. I didn't mind it being like that. So that is what the 3 cards in one look like. Each one could be made its own card with a little embellishment and extra details on it, but I wanted to make a big one this time. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed and got inspired, and well, I'm going to be trying to make some more of these fancy fold cards, so looking forward to that in the future. See you next time. Bye bye. I'm showing some extra videos at the end that you might like to look at to get more excitement over the holiday season coming up, and some of the other cards that I've made. So I hope you enjoy those. Thank you again. Bye bye.